There's a certain kind of silence that doesn't mean defeat, it means calculation. That's the kind of silence Sergio Perez held onto after Red Bull let him fade into the shadows. No PR stunts, no dramatic exits, just a quiet disappearance. For months, fans didn't know if he'd speak up or if he even wanted to. But now, he's talking, and the truth, it's not pretty. Not for Red Bull, not for the myth they built around perfection. This isn't a meltdown or a revenge tour. This is a man who's been inside the machine, who knows exactly where the cracks are, finally flipping on the lights. And it all starts with one word he kept coming back to: survive. Not thrive, not compete, just survive. That's how Perez described his years inside Red Bull Racing, a team that, from the outside, looks untouchable, and from the inside, a pressure cooker built for one man and one man only: Max Verstappen. Now, if you've followed F1 for more than 5 minutes, you already know Max is no ordinary driver. He's freakishly fast, composed under fire, and yes, the team bends to his style. That's not a secret. What is shocking is how deeply that culture runs and how destructive it's been for anyone not named Verstappen. Perez didn't drop names to be petty. He dropped facts. The car is built for Max, he said. Full stop. Not built for speed, not built for the team, built for him. And Perez wasn't speaking in frustration. He sounded like a man who'd finally accepted the truth that had been gnawing at him for years. The kind of truth that fans whisper on Twitter but never hear confirmed. Until now. I managed to survive, he said. That line alone should make you sit up. Because when an elite athlete with multiple wins, decades of experience, and the mental toughness to battle at 300 km/h uses the word survive, you know something's off. It's no longer about competition, it's about endurance. And that, more than anything, is the real story here. See, Red Bull didn't just give Perez a fast car, they gave him a monster. A machine so dialed into Max's style that the second driver might as well have been racing with one hand tied behind their back. Rain, wind, track conditions, throw in even the smallest variable, and Perez said the car became undrivable. Let that sink in. Not difficult, undrivable. That's not a setup problem. That's a team philosophy. Red Bull isn't building a dynasty around fairness or adaptability. They're building it around one golden boy, and everyone else is disposable. Perez just happened to be the latest in that line, and maybe the most honest about it. Even now, Red Bull's next-gen hopes, Liam Lawson, Yuki Tsunoda, they're barely scraping points in what should be a rocket ship. 10 points combined, in a car that dominated constructor standings for years. That's not driver error. That's a system problem. And Perez is finally exposing it, but what makes this even more compelling is how he's choosing to tell it. No rants, no slams, just quiet, measured words that cut deeper because they're calm, reflective. Like a man who's no longer begging to be understood, he's simply telling the truth and letting the chips fall where they may. And now, with that truth out there, he's turning the page. Not with anger, but with purpose. Because this isn't the end of his story. It might just be the beginning. When Cadillac first reached out, it wasn't some flashy sales pitch. There were no promises of wins or podiums, no ego-massaging speeches about legacy. It was quiet, curious, and most importantly, it came before Red Bull even made his exit official. That detail alone says a lot. While Christian Horner was still putting on his best poker face in press conferences, acting like Perez was part of the long-term plan, Cadillac had already seen the writing on the wall, and so had Sergio. He didn't jump at it. In fact, for a while, he didn't jump at anything. That's the thing most fans didn't notice. He went completely still, no social media stunts, no hungry agent pushing him into another mid-tier seat just to stay visible. He stopped because somewhere in all that chaos, Perez realized that before choosing his next chapter, he had to disconnect from the sport that had consumed him for over a decade. And when he finally did, something strange happened. He started thinking about enjoyment. Not results, not revenge, not even respect. Enjoyment. The kind of word that barely exists in the vocabulary of elite drivers, where every race is war and every mistake is a scar. But Sergio had felt the machine grind him down for years. He didn't want to go back into it unless he could feel alive again. That's why Cadillac caught his eye. Not because they were flashy, because they were new, a clean slate. No legacy to protect, no political hierarchy, no system designed to favor one guy, just raw ambition, and a blank sheet of paper. And that was all Perez needed. He wasn't naive about it either. He knew the road ahead would be brutal. He even said it himself, there are races where you'll drive your heart out and finish P15. But if the effort was real and the direction felt right, he could live with that. Because this time, the fight would be his. No more adapting to someone else's formula, no more second-guessing setup notes. He'd be there from day one, helping to build something that reflected him. That shift in mindset changed everything. He started speaking more freely, sharing insights that made it clear he'd spent years biting his tongue, like when he talked about how even the smallest variables, wind changes, light rain, could turn that Red Bull car into a beast. He wasn't exaggerating. He was finally unpacking the emotional toll of trying to look confident while knowing the car was working against him. That kind of constant battle doesn't just wear out your tires, it wears out your soul. And yet, he never folded, never stormed out, never aired dirty laundry while still on the payroll. He waited. And now that he's out, he's not burning bridges. He's telling the truth, one measured sentence at a time, and people are listening because this isn't just about Red Bull anymore. It's about how the sport treats drivers who don't fit the mold. Cadillac's project won't be easy. They'll probably take hits in the beginning, but Perez isn't looking for a miracle. He's looking for meaning, and in his eyes, helping shape a brand new team, one that listens, one that learns, means more than any number of podiums. Because when you've survived the fire, building something from ashes isn't scary. It's exciting, and Perez is finally driving towards something that's his. Pat Simmons isn't the kind of guy who throws bold predictions around for fun. He's seen eras rise and fall in Formula One, watched dominant teams stumble overnight when the rules shifted just enough to make everything unfamiliar. So when he says the 2026 regulations could dismantle Red Bull's entire advantage, you listen. And when a man like Perez hears that, he smells opportunity. That's what makes this next chapter so different. Perez isn't trying to squeeze the last bit of relevance out of his career. He's positioning himself for the future, a future where Red Bull's invincibility might finally crack. Because as dominant as they've been, their formula relies on a very delicate balance: ground effect mastery, tire preservation, and above all, Max Verstappen's freakish ability to drive a car few others can handle. But new regs mean new philosophy. And new philosophy means everyone resets to zero. Sergio knows he's not the flashy rookie anymore. He doesn't need to be. He brings something rarer: perspective. He's driven every kind of car, raced through regulation changes, seen what works and what collapses under pressure. And if the new cars reward adaptability more than raw aggression, then he's already one step ahead. He even said it himself: "I've done well in previous eras. That's not arrogance. That's confidence earned the hard way." He's betting that the new landscape will punish teams too locked into their old ways. And few teams have become more specialized, more one-dimensional than Red Bull. What's wild is that the very traits Red Bull celebrated in Max, his surgical precision, his ability to extract perfection from a car built specifically for him, could become a liability if that car suddenly behaves differently. Meanwhile, Perez, who's spent years learning to adapt to uncomfortable setups, might be exactly the kind of driver you want at the center of a rebuild. And Cadillac gets that. They're not chasing headlines. They're building a foundation, quietly, methodically. They brought on Simmons. They started aligning with top-tier engineers. They didn't just want an F1 team. They wanted to understand F1. And in Perez, they didn't just get a driver, they got a translator. Someone who's fluent in how elite teams operate, but isn't afraid to challenge the system when it fails. There's something poetic about the timing. While Red Bull tightens its grip around a shrinking circle of control, Cadillac is opening doors, building trust, listening. They're doing the opposite of what broke so many second drivers before. And that alone might be their greatest strength. For Perez, this isn't about proving he belongs anymore. This is about shaping a place where others will belong. A place where no driver has to say, "I survived," just to stay in the seat. He's laying bricks for something bigger than one last shot at glory. He's building a new kind of legacy. Formula One has always been brutal. Teams rise, careers vanish, fans forget. But every once in a while, a driver steps off the treadmill and chooses something something harder: reinvention. Not because they have to, but because they see a future no one else is paying attention to. Sergio Perez saw it. He walked away from the chaos, sat in the silence, and when he returned, he wasn't asking for redemption, he was building something. And this time, he's not surviving, he's driving the whole damn thing forward.